Hey, this is Eric Johnson, and you're listening to Sonic Perspectives.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another interview of Sonic Perspectives. Our guest today is a guitar player with an absolutely perfect tone, Mr. Eric Johnson. Eric, thank you so much for joining us.
No, thank you, Rodrigo. Glad to be here.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. So let's talk about not one, but two of your upcoming albums, The Book of Making and Yesterday Meets Today. Two albums, 18 songs. It's a massive undertaking.
Yeah, it was bits and pieces that were in my closet. There's 7 of the 18 are brand new pieces that I recorded
Hmm.
from scratch just recently, but the other 11 were just bits and pieces that I had in my closet. And when I came home, in 2020, when all the COVID hit, and I just kind of I got these pieces out. Thought, oh, I'll overdub on this, I'll transfer that, I'll redo that. Just kind of put it together.
Right. And what's behind the decision to release two separate albums and not a double one? It's kind of like Guns N' Roses did on Use Your Illusion 1 and 2,
Yeah,
right?
I hear they did that. The record label I'm working with, Blue Élan, they just decided to release it as 2 singles.
Mm-hmm.
Originally, I was going to do a double record. I couldn't decide which of the titles I liked the best, so I decided
Right.
whether it's going to be a double record or 2 singles, I'm going to call each record a different name because I like both names. But they decided they wanted to do 2 singles. There's actually 7 more tunes that are going to be on a outtake record called Takeouts.
Oh,
So
okay.
I think that that third record with 7 tunes might be included. If somebody decided they wanted to buy both the single records, they might get this takeout record just
Oh,
as a bonus or something. I don't know.
excellent. And it's 7 new tracks or different versions of
No,
what's already?
it's 7 tracks from this whole deal that I did, which I think most of them were old tracks that I overdubbed on.
Oh, okay. And I'm curious because, one of the last shows I saw before everything shut down was here in Toronto in February 25th, 2020. It was you playing with your band. And I know you got some shows that were canceled. So how far into COVID and into isolation were you when you decided to do this record?
Well, the tour, I had like 2 or 3 weeks of tour dates left in
Hmm.
March of 2020, but
Yeah.
they all got canceled. So I just came home from Florida. I think I did 1 or 2 dates in Florida, and then all the rest of the Florida dates got canceled. So we just came straight home. And at that time, everything was shut down. And I was like, well, okay, I'll just go to the studio by myself. And
Hmm.
I kind of learned more about kind of engineering myself. But Kelly Donnelly, the engineer, also came in and helped me. But for the most part, I did a lot of it just sitting in here by myself for the first while.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And let me ask you about a few personal highlights of these albums. The first one being Soundtrack Live, which you already played live on a few tours, but now we get a finalized studio version, right?
Right, right.
Yeah,
That's true.
yeah.
Yeah, that was a track. I think I cut that in the studio about 4 or 5 years ago, and
Okay.
never overdubbed all the parts.
Hmm.
And so I just decided that I would. It's funny how you sometimes you bring out songs that you've recorded that you at the time you're like, yeah, well, I don't know about that, and then you do this because this other stuff's better, and then you pull it out later and go, well, actually, I think that's better than what I thought was better. It's all kind of subjective. So
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
know.
well, didn't that happen with Cliffs of Dover? That was supposed to be on Tones, your first record, right? And the
Yeah.
producer said, yeah, no, let's leave that aside, right?
No, he said, "Oh no, I don't want to record that." He says that sounds like a game show theme, which I guess it does kind of instead of da 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 da, you're like da da
Yeah.
da da da, I like the match game or something. I guess I don't know.
And if
But
all themes sounded like that, can
what's
you
that?
imagine? If all game show themes sounded
Yeah,
as
yeah.
this good?
Well, yeah, I guess, but it was okay because there was too many songs for tones at the time, and it
Hmm.
came out, I guess, when it was supposed to.
Yeah. And going back to the album, I love the contrast between the keyboards and your guitar on Love Will Never Say Goodbye. What's the story behind that one?
Well, that's interesting. That track is keyboards, bass, drums, and vocal off a
Hmm.
cassette. It was a rough mix that I got off a cassette, and the vocals are a little low, and there's a lot of reverb on it. But there's nothing I could do about it because it was a cassette. I couldn't find the 2-inch master. It
Hmm.
would have been analog 2-inch master. I couldn't find it. It's probably somewhere, but I could never find it. So I just said, okay, I'll just use the cassette. I transferred the cassette over to digital platform, and I added guitars and vocals, background vocals, percussion. Just went, yeah, whatever. And
Right.
if you don't listen too close, because on the right side there's a place where the actual two mix distorts from the cassette. It actually distorts, but
Right.
whatever.
Yeah. No, I love those imperfections. In the 70s, we didn't have the luxury of post editing and stuff like that. So,
Yeah,
it's my favorite period. So, yeah,
and a lot of times it's interesting. It doesn't really matter in the end. It's just whether the vibe is there or not.
of course. Yeah. Like Led Zeppelin, they were all about, the best take, not the most perfect one or the most organic one, right? So,
Yeah,
yeah.
and yeah, totally.
Yeah. Yeah. And on the other hand, Bigger Than My Life has some very inspired vocal lines. And I think I've never seen in an interview you addressing how you develop your singing style, which is very unique as well.
Well, I mean, I have really I love. There's certain singers that I just really love, and I couldn't get anywhere near close to them. But
Mm,
I love the inflections, like in Stevie Wonder's voice, or
right.
even George Jones and uh, you know people like that. Ricky Skaggs, um, just I love the way BB King sang.
Right.
But I can't sing like those guys, but I do the best I can.
Yeah.
I'm really not a singer. I'm able to kind of pull myself up on the rungs of the ladder and
Mm,
approach being a decent singer just because I know when it's good or when it's not.
right.
But
Yeah.
I would love to, you know, be like some of these guys. It's just like
Yeah.
wow, it's just
Well,
awesome.
yeah. Well, it takes a lot of courage, I guess, to, take on the microphone because it'll be easy to just hide behind your guitar, right? But you
Yeah,
take that extra step and you go for it. So,
yeah.
yeah.
And I mean, I guess it could be all instrumental, and I don't know. I like all types of music, so I like to
Mm,
try to incorporate different things.
right. And for me, the most intriguing song of all those two albums is Maha, which has a Latin flavor and a crazy main riff. How did that one come together?
That was just a jam,
Mm,
and it kind of started as a jam, and I just kind of kept messing with it till it kind of turned it. It's really the structure is really not really like a normal song. It's
yeah,
more a jam.
yeah.
But as I got into it and got into deciding what licks I wanted to play, I was like, oh, I should get a percussionist in to play over the top of this, and do some neat stuff. And
Mm.
I had fun with that. And then I thought, well, I took this go down at classical guitar and tried to do a couple of flamenco licks and stuff. And just like I kind of actually doing a little bit of that on this version of Cliffs that we're working on now too. So it's
Oh,
just
okay.
fun,
Yeah,
fun to include different stuff.
yeah. You mentioned that before we started the actual interview, but you're doing a Brazilian flavored sort of version of Cliffs of Dover, right?
Yeah, I mean it's a little bit, yeah, it's just a little bit jazz Brazilian flavored. It's still Cliffs of Dover, but
Yeah.
it'll be very different. And I don't know what people will think, but when uh, John Steinman is the guitarist, he sent me a track of acoustic guitar and drums, and I just
Mm,
thought, well, that's worth me fooling with. So I've been having fun doing that recently, just overdubbing on it.
right. And the only guest on the album is a singer called Ariel on the song "To Be Alive," right? Who else is playing on the album with you?
Well, Roscoe Beck played bass, Kyle
Yeah.
Brock played bass, Chris Marsh. Um, yeah, and then of course Tom Breckline, Tommy Taylor, um, God, Kevin Hall. Um, who else is on it? Christopher Cross is he
Mm,
singing on it? Maybe he's not singing. I guess he's not singing. He co-wrote a tune with me on it.
okay.
Um, yeah, that's probably most of who it is. Yeah.
Right. And I read somewhere that you write on piano a lot. Do you notice a pattern of how a song comes out between writing on piano versus guitar or not?
Yeah, I think sometimes I'll get pinned into a certain structure on guitar because it's with the frets, whereas with the piano, I can kind of fan out my fingers and kind of check
Right.
out voicings and
Hmm.
kind of mess around with. And then if I transfer that to guitar, sometimes it has a little bit more of a unique approach to it guitaristically, you know.
Right. Yeah. And what comes first when you're writing? Do you start with a solo and then wrap a song around it, or do you build the song and then you add a solo? What's the
Build the
usual
song.
process?
I
Huh?
usually build the song and then add a solo. Yeah.
Okay.
Except,
Yeah.
you know, maybe the exception would be Cliffs of Dover. Cliffs of Dover, I kind of wrote all those lead
Mm,
parts. They were kind of part of the song, I guess.
right. Yeah. And the impression I have is that nowadays you have complete artistic freedom and you can do an album if and when you want. Is that a fair assumption? And when did you first realize that was the case, if that's the case?
Um, well, I think it just went more and more and more that way, and it's like you get all these, you get all these benefits of doing that, you know.
Mm,
But I don't know if it's all benefit, you know, because I was watching a clip this morning of Chas Chandler and Eddie Kramer talking about when Jimi Hendrix did "When Cries Mary,"
mm,
and I just thought, you know, there's something valuable and justifiable about it. They said, well, we were in the studio, we had a 4 hour block of time, we had 20 minutes left. They had was 20 minutes left, and Jimmy pulls out this song. Well, I got this song here. The chord changes. Let's go in. Let's just do it. And they
mm.
just read it off. Bam. And he said, I got a guitar part. He overdubbed two guitars on the original guitar and did the vocal at his vocal went down the same time the lead went down, same track. They spent
Wow.
20 little, hardly over 20 minutes doing that whole tune
Yeah.
because they had to. They were forced into a situation to bring it to their best inspired ability in the moment. So,
Right.
you know,
So,
I don't know. I think there's two sides to that, you
yeah.
know.
Time constraints sometimes brings the best out of you. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
It
So
might.
I
Yeah.
wonder about that sometimes, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mentioned your tone when we started the interview, and you have one of the most distinguishable ones, of course. At the same time, your gear is not super complex. You don't play with apps or, some fancy pedal boards or anything. Do you think the tone is more on your fingers or on the gear?
Well, I think it's more on the fingers and
Mm,
your muting technique and picking technique. But then
mhm.
having said that, you know, you got to have a certain amount of gain on the amp to make it sing. Um, but the equipment comes into play, but I don't know if it comes into play as much as I've thought it had over the years because people tell me like, you know, I'll play through, you know, just a little tiny practice amp and say, well, it sounds like you know, and that's probably
Mhm.
true with everybody, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw, I think it was Ted Nugent that said, he picked up Eddie Van Halen's guitar when they were touring together. And he's like, I still sound like me. I don't sound like
Yeah,
Eddie at all. Right.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Same thing happened to me on one of the last Hendrix tours a few
Mm.
years ago. I picked up Joe Satriani's rig, and it just sounded like me. I mean, it didn't like, and I didn't change any of the controls or anything. You know, it just.
Yeah. Yeah. And speaking of tone, I need to ask about two musicians you influenced who also have great tones, Eric Gales and Joe Bonamassa.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
what What's it like for you to notice you're influencing guys like that? I mean, super excellent guys in what they do, right?
Yeah, well, it's an honor. Both those cats are great.
Yeah.
I know both those guys, and they're sweethearts. And Eric Gales, Eric Gales, but he's a monster,
Insane, right? Yeah.
and he's a great guy too. He's just a sweet guy,
Yeah.
and I wish both those guys all the best.
Yeah. At the same time, I don't know if you noticed this, but a lot of metal fans enjoy your work. You see me here wearing a Black Sabbath shirt. I'm a metalhead, but I
Yeah,
love what you do. So, to
thank
what
you.
do you credit that?
Well, that's I'm honored. Thank you. Oh well, there's some great I just think music is good music, you know. There's Dimebag Daryl did
Mm,
some really cool you know, where he would double track stuff left and right and be so, and he used that flanger a little bit. I mean, it sounded killer. I mean, it just,
Massive, right? Yeah.
and
Yeah.
there's all sorts of um, great. I mean, there's, um, geez, I mean, there's great players in every style, you
Yeah.
know, and it just depends on what your cup of tea is, and you can't really decide if you let your cup of tea dictate whether something's good or not, then you're just being short-sighted, you know, because
Yeah.
there's so many different styles of music that have just great musicians, you know.
Yeah. I'm here in Toronto. I'm Brazilian, by the way, and I saw you in Brazil
Oh
with the
wow, really?
G3. So
Oh,
yeah.
you know, it's that's really interesting. A friend of mine sent me a basic track to Cliffs of Dover,
Hmm.
which in a completely Brazilian flavor. You won't
Oh
even
yeah.
recognize the tune. It's like got all this, and I'm in the process of I'm finishing overdubbing to it. It's gonna be like this interesting, completely different version of Cliffs of Dover. But
Oh wow.
a
You
friend of
gonna
mine,
release that officially or?
well, I think I might because it he sent it to me. I was like, God, that is just so strange. You can't even. It almost doesn't even sound like Cliffs of Dover, but he's a fine guitarist and he played all these different chords. So yeah, it's
Right.
interesting. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. Yeah. And I read an article recently with you, Steve Vai, and Joe Satriani reminiscing the first G3 tour. What can you tell us about that tour? And now that the three of you have new albums, is it time for another run, maybe?
Possibly. We talked about it. I don't know when it would happen because they're busy doing a lot of stuff, and
Yeah.
but it could very well happen in the future. Yeah, they're just great players. I mean, those guys play circles around me in a lot of ways. You know, I'm just different. You know, we're all different, but you know, Joe's such a great technician, and he's so consistent every time he plays guitar. Steve's got so much emotion and so eclectic. But you know, the tour we did, it was, I guess it was Joe's idea, and it was just a cool idea years ago because it just the first date there was just
Yeah.
thousands and thousands of people. You know, it was like people really loved it. I think people like that confluence of multiple people getting together. You know,
Yeah.
and yeah.
Yeah. I saw a few iterations of that G3, including one with you, Joe, of course, and John Petrucci in
Yeah,
Brazil.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's a monster. Yeah, I remember that tour. Yeah.
Yeah, in South America. Yeah. And well, as a Rush fan, I can't not ask you about what it was like to open for Rush on the Roll the Bones tour. What kind of memories do you have of that tour?
That was great. They were so nice to us. We had just spent 2 months in Europe and we landed in New York and we were trashed and we were on our way home. And we were literally like coming, we just got to the airport and we got a call um, from their manager saying, "Hey, do you guys want to do a 6 week tour of Rush?" And said, "Well, sure. When's it start?" I said, "Oh, tomorrow."
Jesus.
We had to like, we never got to go home. We did, you
Hmm.
know, but so we just went straight on the road in, but they were very sweet, very, very wonderful.
Right.
Um, Alex, I guess I saw Alex on the tour in Toronto.
Yeah.
I saw Alex when I was in Toronto that last time I was out playing, and we had dinner together and visited and
Oh,
great.
cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
I saw a picture of you, Alex, and Joe Satriani at Massey Hall here in Toronto.
Yeah.
Uh, was there any discussion about you guys playing together and maybe doing a YYZ, while you touring the G3? That would have been awesome.
Oh, well, that would have been great. You know, but
Yeah.
that was just I was playing a show with Joe and Alex came out the show
Uh,
and Alex said, "Hey, can I meet Joe?" And I said, "Oh yeah, sure." And so I took him back to meet Joe. And Joe was like, you know, they were both like really happy to meet each other.
right. Awesome. And I have a few questions from some of your fans, if you don't mind.
Wow.
The first one is about one of your most iconic solos, which is Lonely in the Night, one of my personal favorites.
Wow.
Yeah. What memories do you have about recording that solo? And also, it was written by Vince Mariani, whom we lost recently, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, it's hard for me to talk about that right now,
That's okay.
but
That's okay.
he's a very close friend of mine.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I mean, a lot of people that's their favorite song that I ever did, you know, and he wrote it. He wrote that whole song.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wrote a lot of great songs.
Hmm. Sorry for your loss, man. I'm really sorry about that. Yeah. And well, another question I have is about the original recording of Venus Reprise, because it goes on forever and there's that fade out. How
Yeah.
long did it go after you faded that
Oh,
out?
probably another 2 or 3 minutes, but I probably made too many mistakes to not fade it out. Actually, I have lyrics to that. It's supposed to be a
Oh,
song, but I never could get the vocal right. So I said, let's just put it out as an instrumental.
okay.
Yeah.
But do you still keep that demo and outtakes from that album? Because people would love to hear that.
Yeah, I should. That's one that I probably should redo and put the vocal in it.
Oh,
Yeah, the
there you
vocal.
go.
It's actually better with the vocal in it.
Mhm.
But it was towards the end of the recording the record, and I was so burnt out. And I just like, let's just use that, and we're done.
Fair enough. Fair
Yeah.
enough. Yeah. Well, before I let you go, back to the two albums, The Book of Making and Yesterday Meets Today. They'll come out on July 29th. You only have two dates in 2023 from what I saw. Can we expect more two dates to be announced anytime soon or not?
Oh yeah, we'll be doing we're gonna do a couple of long tours, I think.
Okay. Okay. When can we expect some kind of announcement for that? In next
Well,
couple of weeks?
yeah, I didn't know that. I was thinking maybe they were already up, but I guess not yet. I
Yeah.
didn't know. Okay.
I haven't seen it at least, but anyway, I'll look forward to that. And thank you so much for the interview, man. All the best with the new albums and the tour.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Likewise. Take care.
You take care too. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.